Another disgraceful turnout for everyday Australians this week, when even more revelations of political corruption and allegations of misconduct flowed like a torrential downpour from the self-righteous echelons of the high and mighty, morally bankrupt end of town. While everyday Aussies are out there slogging their guts out to scratch together a measly living, these tireless pricks continue to make a mockery of the institution of the Australian way. Welcome to Seeing Red, Headline Edition, where we take a look at what these scummy bastards have been up to this week, and maybe we'll all see red and do something about it. Christine Holgate told a Senate estimates hearing on Thursday that watches purchased in 2018 as a reward for their executives were worth about $3,000 each.
They were a Cartier watch of about value of $3,000 each.
But in a statement released on Friday evening, the Australian Post chair said the four luxury timepieces in question actually cost considerably more, for a grand total of $19,950. Obviously, these executives' $500,000 a year plus salary wasn't enough reward for their services, and they were probably all too broke to buy the watches themselves. Now, Scott Morrison is apparently furious at Miss Holgate.
I was appalled, it's disgraceful, and it's not on, Mr. Speaker.
Many assume that Morrison is just upset because he is a Cartier watch fan himself and has missed out. He has requested that Miss Holgate stand aside for wasting taxpayer money.
She's been instructed to stand aside, and if she doesn't wish to do that, Mr. Speaker, she can go.
Mr. Morrison has also booked himself in to see a memory specialist, as he seems to have forgotten that this year in July, similar allegations were made about his wasting of taxpayer funds, with travel expenses calculated at $3.1 million. Again, unable to pay for his own travel on his paltry 500 plus K per year. Not content with just keeping an eye on the business dealings of others, James Shipton of Australian Security and Investment Commission has made moves to have himself investigated by the Treasury Department into what the hell he was doing getting ASIC to pay for external tax advice to the tune of $118,000. Treasury is also investigating a $750 a week relocation payment made over 2 years to ASIC's Head of Enforcement and Deputy Chair, Daniel Crennan, totalling almost $70,000. Outsiders have suggested the country needs more watchers watching the watchers so these things can be watched and squashed before they get out of hand. On a side note, they have both agreed to pay all the money back, so we'll just move on and not do anything about it. To add even more evidence to the allegations of corruptions by the embattled New South Wales Liberals, this week the Greens have come out to say more than 95% of $252 million in New South Wales grants went to councils in coalition seats. Just a handful of emails from the Office of the Premier and that of her deputy, John Barilaro, are all that evidences how the $252 million was allocated to councils in the months before the 2019 state election. Barilaro, only having just returned from a month of stress leave from the rigours of the job and having lost his licence in the last few months for repeated infringements, citing poor mental health for his actions. Berejiklian has been caught out with ex-lover Daryl Maguire playing property pimp for profit and getting caught. She suffered a case of politico-amnesia when it comes to knowing what she did and did not remember about her conversations with her on-again, off-again boyfriend Maguire, even when phone taps were quite clear to spell it out. It's not just the coronavirus. The political landscape of this country is having a pandemic of its own. Corruptioniosis. It's running rampant. And no amount of hand sanitizer and KY tubes is going to stop the Australian people from getting screwed and catching something. If this makes you see red, like, subscribe and comment for more.